Welcome to Still Mind Suttas. In today's episode, we turn to a teaching that the Buddha framed in a very personal way, how he worked with his own thoughts before awakening. This sutta invites us to look closely at the movements of the mind, to see which thoughts lead toward agitation and which lead toward clarity and ease. It's a simple distinction, but one that can quietly reshape how we meet our day, at work, in conversations, or in those private moments when the mind drifts into habit. As you listen, you're invited to settle in, breathe a little more spaciously, and explore how these early teachings can illuminate the patterns of your own inner life. In this discourse, the Buddha is staying near Savatthi, in the quiet refuge of Jedda's Grove, at Dvedhāvitakka's monastery. He gathers the monks and begins to speak, not about lofty cosmology or advanced meditation, but about something far more intimate, the nature of his own thoughts before he awakened. He explains that when he was still a bodhisattva, one striving for awakening, he began to examine his mind in a simple but radical way. He divided all of his thoughts into two kinds. On one side, he placed thoughts driven by sensual desire, by ill will, and by harmful intention. On the other, he placed thoughts grounded in renunciation, compassion, and harmlessness. This was not an abstract categorization. He watched his mind moment by moment, carefully noticing what arose. When a sensual thought appeared, he recognized it clearly. This leads to my own suffering, or the suffering of others, or the suffering of both. He saw that such thoughts cloud the mind, stir up agitation, and move it away from liberation, what the texts call nibbana, freedom from clinging. The Buddha explains that simply seeing the danger allowed these thoughts to fade. Each time a thought of sensuality appeared, he abandoned it. When anger or ill will arose, he recognized its cost and released it. When a thought toward harming or taking advantage of others arose, he understood the suffering it would bring, and he let it dissolve. He describes this process very directly. He abandoned these thoughts, dispelled them, and wiped them away. Then he shares a simple principle that applies to anyone. Whatever kind of thinking you pursue becomes the inclination of your awareness. In other words, what you repeatedly dwell on shapes the mind itself. If someone continually entertains sensual fantasies, the mind bends in that direction. If someone keeps fueling anger, the mind becomes shaped by anger. If someone habitually entertains harmful thoughts, the mind moves toward harm. This, the Buddha says, is simply how the mind works. To illustrate, he offers a vivid comparison. Imagine a cowherd in the rainy season, when crops are still growing in the fields. He watches his cows constantly. If they wander into the crops, he risks punishment, fines, or public criticism, so he taps and guides them, alert and attentive, because he knows the consequences of carelessness. In the same way, the Buddha says, he watched his unskillful thoughts, knowing clearly the harm they would bring. But there is a second side. He explains that renunciation, goodwill, and harmlessness also arise. Renunciation here doesn't mean rejecting life, it means releasing the craving that binds us. Goodwill, metta, is the sincere wish for well-being. Harmlessness, ahimsa, is the resolve not to cause suffering. When these thoughts arose, the Buddha noticed something different. They caused no harm to himself or others. They brought clarity rather than confusion. They supported calm rather than agitation. He realized that even if he were to think in these ways for a whole day and night, no danger would come from them, only the mild fatigue that comes from thinking too much. And so, he says, he steadied his mind, he unified it, he concentrated it, not by suppressing the positive thoughts, but by cultivating a deeper stillness so the mind would no longer be disturbed. Again, he repeats the principle. Whatever kind of thinking you pursue shapes the mind. Pursue renunciation, and the mind inclines toward freedom. Cultivate goodwill, and the mind inclines toward kindness. Nurture harmlessness, and the mind inclines toward safety for all beings. To help the monks understand, he gives a second image. Picture a cow herd after the harvest, when all the crops have been stored safely away. Now he can simply sit under a tree or rest in the open, keeping one gentle eye on the cows without fear or strain. In the same way, when the Buddha had cultivated wholesome qualities, he simply rested with them, mindful and at ease. He then describes how, with the mind unified through this training, he entered the 4 jhanas, deep states of meditative absorption, progressively quieter, steadier, and more refined. And from that concentrated mind came 3 great knowledges in the night of his awakening. In the first watch of the night, he recollected his past lives in detail, names, appearances, experiences of pleasure and pain, and the transitions from one existence to another. This was not imagination, but direct knowledge emerging from a mind bright and purified. In the second watch, he saw the passing away and reappearing of beings according to their actions, what the tradition calls karma. With the divine eye, a purified and heightened vision, he saw how actions lead beings toward fortunate or unfortunate destinations, depending on their conduct and their views. Then came the third watch of the night. With the same concentrated clarity, he turned his mind toward the deepest questions. What is suffering? How does it arise? How does it cease? And what is the path leading to its cessation? Seeing these truths clearly, his heart was freed from the defilements of craving, becoming, and ignorance. He knew directly, birth is ended, the holy life fulfilled, the task is done. To help the monks grasp the difference between false and true paths, he offers a final simile. Imagine a great marsh in the wilderness, and a herd of deer depending on it. A man with bad intentions blocks the safe path, sets up traps, and leads the herd toward danger. This is Mara, the embodiment of temptation and confusion. But another man arrives who wishes the deer well. He opens the safe path and removes the traps. This, the Buddha says, is the Tathagata, the one who shows the way to freedom. The false path is the eightfold wrong path: wrong view, wrong resolve, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, and wrong concentration. The safe path is the noble eightfold path, the way he has opened for all who wish to walk it. He ends with a simple urging to the monks. The places for meditation are available: the roots of trees, the quiet dwellings. Practice. Don't be heedless. Don't fall into regret later. Everything a teacher can do out of compassion, he says, has already been done. Reflecting on this teaching, we see how the Buddha's path begins, not with extraordinary visions, but with the careful training of the mind. Noticing what thoughts lead towards suffering and what thoughts lead away from it is a practical, everyday practice. In our own lives, we can watch what our minds tend to pursue. We can gently release the thoughts that disturb and cultivate the ones that bring clarity, goodwill, and ease. Over time, the mind inclines toward peace, not by force, but by understanding. Thank you for listening. This teaching points to something very practical. The mind takes the shape of whatever it repeats. When we notice which thoughts tighten the heart and which thoughts soften it, we begin to guide our inner life with more wisdom and less reactivity. The sutta reminds us that even small shifts in attention, letting go of a harmful line of thinking, nurturing one rooted in goodwill, can gradually bend the mind toward peace. As you move through your day, you might simply pause now and then to notice what kind of thought is present and gently choose the one that leads towards steadiness rather than strain. If you'd like to continue exploring these early texts in a calm, grounded way, feel free to subscribe or return for future reflections. May your practice today be light, clear, and supportive of a more spacious mind.